Explanation regarding free will. I truly want to help you attain beatitude while you are still living on earth as human beings, and I make use of all methods which can still lead you to perfection. But I do not infringe upon your free will, for this is the characteristic of a divine living being which once arose from my love. Without free will you would certainly be works which my creative will brought into being, but they would be lifeless within themselves, since they would only purely mechanically comply with my will. However, I did not create such imperfect beings but children of my love which are still my living creations until they become my children of their own free will, so that they completely subordinate their free will to mine, even though they can also turn it in the opposite direction. You, who live on earth as human beings, had turned your free will in the wrong direction in the past. It turned away from me, and that resulted in your apostasy. But since nothing that originated from me can be lost forever, it will also return to me again one day without fail, and I myself devised this path of return to me for you. When you hardened in your substance, I shaped this substance into all kinds of works of creation, and bound your will during this time. That is, you took the slow path out of the abyss upwards in the law of compulsion until you had reached a degree of maturity once again in which free will could be returned to you, and that you now, in the stage of a human being, should turn it in the right direction, that is, towards me. In that case you will subordinate your will to mine without compulsion and attain perfection again, but then you will no longer be my living creations but will have become my children who, in eternal bliss, will be able to work and shape with me and in my will, which will also have become yours. But I have known for eternity which decision will be taken by a person's free will and what will, accordingly, be his destiny on earth. It will always be such that he can make the right decision, although the person is not subject to any compulsion. No one will be able to determine a person's inner inclination and thinking, and neither will I ever determine nor push him in a specific direction. But the person will always prepare his own fate, that is, he can infinitely prolong his path of return but also shorten it considerably. Nevertheless, one day he will return to me for certain. As long as his free will does not apply to me, the human being still belongs to my adversary who had caused his downfall, yet neither I myself nor he can exert a forceful influence on a person's will, otherwise he would never ever be able to attain beatitude, for free will was cause of the apostasy, and in free will he must also return to me again. The fact that I have known the direction of your will as a human being for eternity does not entitle you to assume that I myself determine the state of beatitude, that I myself, that is my will, choose which people will become blessed and which will be condemned. This point of view entirely contradicts my nature, which is love, wisdom and might in itself. My love for my living creations is so infinitely deep that it constantly tries to attract their love, that it does everything in order to achieve your bliss, your ascent to me in the shortest possible time. My wisdom also knows all means and everything is possible for me with only one exception: I cannot enslave my living creation's will, because this contravenes my law of eternal order. Because I myself cannot make something imperfect which was created in perfection, but the being itself can, at any time, turn into an opposite being to me. Precisely because it has free will, and because free will is and will also remain the attribute of a divine being. For even if you infinitely distanced yourselves from me, by virtue of your free will you would always be able to return to me. And only then will you have reached a degree of perfection which I myself, however, was unable to create. I was certainly able to let supremely perfect beings emerge from me, but the beings had to remain perfect of their own free will, even though they were able to change themselves into the opposite. Thus, the being must strive for and achieve this high degree of perfection itself in order to become a true child of God, which will then also be able to accept its Father's inheritance, because it will have become as perfect as its Father in heaven is perfect. Amen.